Hello and welcome to the Trip Sitting podcast. On this week's episode, we talk a lot about sex. Now, sex is one of those topics that, for whatever reason, at least in like American society, it's still just like a weird taboo topic. At least to me, it just kind of feels that way. And especially growing up, like it's so interesting how we tend to shy away from these conversations about sex, which is really weird because as humans, it's literally something that all of us have for the most part, all of us want for the most part. It feels good. Like there's a reason for that. It's supposed to be a fun, pleasurable experience. Yet, for whatever reason, we don't really like talking about that. Now, I think religion obviously has a lot to do with it, and how it's really tried to control people's bodies, especially women's bodies for sure. But I really, really enjoy this podcast because we're able to have a really, really open conversation about sex. And the reason that we were able to do that is because my guests, two guests, Gregory and Kandace, are swingers. And they actually recently wrote a book called Fucking Our Way to Enlightenment, which I absolutely love that title. And it talks about their experience being swingers for the last 23 years. They've been married for over 40 years now. They actually met each other when they were in, I believe, grade school. It's like a super cute story. Honestly, I really like aspire to have a relationship like they do when I grow up. So that was another reason why I really, really enjoyed recording this podcast. But we talk a lot about their experiences within the swinging community, how it's evolved over time, and then also how they actually now use psychedelics within, their sessions and their playtime, and how that's helped them evolve and get more in touch with themselves as well. So I'm really excited for everybody to listen to this podcast. And without further ado, here are Gregory and Kandace. Awesome. So how are we feeling?
We're feeling fantastic.
Yes.
So this is now the second podcast that you guys have been on, as you guys are, essentially, I guess, going on I'll call it the podcast tour, in order to promote your book.
Promote the book, promote the concepts.
Our mentorship program as well.
Mentorship, promote the lifestyle. It's awareness, total awareness.
Yeah. And just because I want you guys to say it, what's the title of your book?
Fucking Our Way to Enlightenment.
That is just a fantastic title, man. I swear to can you get that on bookshelves? I guess that's kind of the question. Or are there probably bookstores that don't necessarily want that there?
It's actually surprising when we, there's a whole backstory that we can get into as far as how we came up with the name and stuff on it. And one of the concerns we had was, how our bookstore is going to respond to a title like that. So, first thing you do is you go down and go to a big gigantic Indigo Books and look to see what's on their shelf. And we were actually quite surprised within the human sexuality, shelves. There was quite a few that were, comparable or similar. So, it kind of reassured us that we were okay with that. It's just that with Amazon, it's difficult to advertise. They have some issues with that regard. But, the name was just, it came up while we were sitting in the hot tub one day. We've had these hot tub sessions ever since we've come back from Aya, and we spend an hour in the hot tub every day just talking and just.
But how do we start the talk?
Well, we always hit a bong first, and then
a bong.
So there's some plant medicine involved.
Oh,
there's definitely plant medicine involved.
As I always say, the cannabis makes me smarter.
Yeah. How smart do I want to get today? And so it's just during one of those kind of jam sessions that, and it was after we did this workshop on that we were requested to do our Swingers 101 workshop that we presented, and so we started compiling information for our book or for a book just because of the pressure we were getting, and then the name just came up. I don't know, it just kind of rolled off. And it
was one of those things I kind of went, can we use the word fucking? And then, when you kind of ask all your other friends and stuff, and they said, yeah, you should be able to. It's a
just get rid of the you.
Yeah.
Nobody will know the difference. It'll completely.
Yeah, exactly. Just put an asterisk in there and no one will know.
Yeah.
So do you guys feel enlightened?
Oh, always. On our way up.
Yeah.
There's always more.
Honor. Yeah, I mean, is it ever really a place that, like, I guess I don't really necessarily believe that, like, you really reach enlightenment. Enlightenment is essentially just understanding, like, the journey itself is the destination. Like, this is
Exactly.
already it.
Yeah,
There's nowhere more to go.
exactly.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And if you wouldn't be enlightened if you thought that you were already enlightened.
Yeah.
True. That's very true. Like, anytime I see coaches that man, the whole coaching industry, and I kind of want to get into how, like, mentoring works with you guys too, but, like, coaching within psychedelics is like, there's so many of these, like, weird certifications that people can get. And then, like, if you actually know them in real life, like, they're not following any of the shit that they fucking preach about. And yet they're, like, getting paid to teach people this. And, like,
Mm-hmm.
it's you guys very clearly embody what it is, like, that you guys are now teaching and, like, trying to mentor. So, like, that's what is, I think, appreciative, because I guess within the swinger community, like, do you see people that, like, start swinging for, like, a year and then they immediately start being like, okay, like, I can mentor people, like, I know everything?
I mean, we haven't run into too much of that, but you do get into people that, are fairly new that, uh, that seem to think that they've
They know it
experienced
all.
everything,
Mhm.
they've known it all. And,
sure.
yeah, but just, there's so many perspectives, there's so many different approaches to relationships like this, and so many outside factors that come into play as well. So.
And the only way that you're going to get to know them all is the length of time that you're in it. So I figure since we've had the 23 years, we've got a pretty good understanding of the swinger community.
Yeah.
How did you guys get started?
In the hot tub,
Yeah.
like most people. Yeah.
Close friends in the
Close
hot
friends,
tub, naked.
Alcohol,
Yeah.
open libidos. It evolved really that night. It evolved, and we reflected the next day and thought, hey, that was fun, and nobody was offended and nobody had any weird feelings, and so we talked
And it
about it
brought
a
us
little bit.
closer.
Yeah, it brought us
It was
closer.
interesting
Yeah.
because right away we wanted to talk about it.
Yeah.
We wanted to express, what it was like, and should we do this again? And is there a possibility that there's more of this?
Yeah.
And would we be comfortable with it? It was
Yeah.
one of those kind of moments.
And you don't know until you really dive into it. You just have to allow yourself to try these new things without judging yourself, and saying, oh, I really wish I would have done that, make yourself feel shitty about it or whatever. It's just, it was something that we really enjoyed, or we didn't. So we just didn't do it again. That was as simple as that. Dwell on it, and you just sort of take those experiences and move on.
For instance, I mean, we tried to do the separate dating thing. Maybe I would go off with another guy and have a night. But then when I came back, I just kind of went the whole night. I was going, oh my gosh, I wish Gregory was here. This would be way more fun and interactive. Or, you're having this crazy sexual experience and you kind of go, oh, you look over and you go, oh, I wish Gregory was here to watch how I'm getting into this and loving this, because I know that he loves to watch me get off. And it was one of those things we kind of went, okay, we don't need to go off separately. It's just not working. We like the idea that, we're in the same room, or at least in the same house, or, vicinity.
Within vicinity, yeah. Within earshot of
we
each
like
other,
that.
at least.
Like that better.
It
And
just
that
seems
comes
like
with
it's
time and experience and just trying different things that you kind of go, that work, that don't work.
yeah, like the level of, like, vulnerability that you, like, I guess there's true, like, honesty with yourself of, like, how you feel and stuff in order to live this lifestyle is just, it seems like it's so much more open than most people that I know are ever even, like, willing to dive within themselves.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No,
So how is sorry, no, I guess I wanted to ask, how did plant medicine end up getting into the mix with this as well?
Well, we've always smoked weed. That's always just been our sort of a go-to. Not heavy consumption or anything, but we started when we were 14 years old, so it's taken us through our whole teen years, early 20s, and then we had kids, and all those parent things start to go through your mind, like I can't be doing this around the kids, and whatever excuses we give ourselves.
We did. We kind of stopped.
Yeah.
We didn't do it daily anymore, and sometimes we wouldn't do it for a month or two.
Months on
Unless
end.
we got invited to a party, and then we're out, and then we're going, oh, okay, yeah, let's have
and
Just have
somebody
some
to smoke a
smoke.
joint with somebody, and that was kind of it. And we really did put it on the back burner until the kids were a little bit older, and then we started to have excuses why we had to go walk the dog. So then
It became a nightly
so
thing.
that became a nightly thing, and even if the dog didn't want to have a walk, you're going for a walk, just so we could go around the block and way to get out of the house. And
And smoke and
smoke, yeah. And eventually the kids sort of got old enough, and they we know that they were involved in it, and but they eventually left home, and all of a sudden we had our freedom again. And,
yeah, and now the bong sits on the the dining room table.
yeah.
Well, it's got to be
You'll
like a
never hide it
nice
anymore.
centerpiece. Like I never
Yeah.
understood. Like I know some houses that have like whole cabinets with like fine china and stuff, and I'm like, you get some like really nice clean bongs in there. Like I think that looks fantastic.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I've been thinking of all sorts of bong designs that would fit into decor nicely for people to have, sort of surreptitiously sitting on the counter and nobody knows what it is until it
Mhm.
gets used. But I think once we introduced the volcano and all the other things sitting on the countertop, the kids kind of knew that we were into something. And I can still remember one of the first times smoking with our oldest son, or smoking, and it was great because he did the Dad, the weed's a lot stronger now than it used to be when you were a kid. Just be careful. And it's like, thanks, son. Thanks for looking after me.
Listen, man, I've been doing this. It's funny. So like I didn't start smoking weed until honestly really like after college is when like I kind of consistently started like using cannabis, and then during college it was very, very sporadic. Like it always just kind of gave me anxiety. Like I was just like, I get so in my head and just like not know how to like shut it off. And little did I know, like that was it. I'm not supposed to shut it off. It's like meditation. Like you're supposed to just let it all be there and just be in the present moment with whatever's there. But my stepdad, he started smoking weed at some point when I was in high school, and I was such a good kid in high school, like just the like straight A's, like never got in trouble. Like the thought of doing anything like against the rules was just like not really in my brain. But it was just funny to me because like I'd come home sometimes and like the house would smell like weed, and then like sometimes I'd find it like stashed somewhere, and I'm like, I think it's supposed to be the opposite. Like I'm supposed to be the one hiding the weed from them right now. Like why is this happening?
Yeah, so we'd kind of it carried us through for a long time. We go to a lot of burner events, Burning Man and our regional burns, and we typically have theme camps that we set up ourselves, for.
And that's when we bring out a little bit more plant medicines.
Bring out more of the plant medicines, MDMA, sassafras, those sort of things, sort of have crept into our sort of our party scene, I guess, and. Although we've never been real like partiers, like going for it. It's just been much more, I don't know what you call it, just sort of introspective and conversational is where we like to keep it. And but eventually some DMT came across our path, and some crystal, and we had another friend who had just tried it, and he had bought the special pipe for it and lent it to us. And we've got another friends that facilitate some other mushroom journeys, so we brought them in as trip setters for us. And we did a little ceremony at our home, and that kind of changed everything. That 7 minutes was
7 minutes with the God molecule.
It was just it was phenomenal, and it was there was 4 of us, and the other 2 girls, they had some difficulties as they were going through it. Then it was my turn, I think. Then I took my turn on it, and none of us had ever done this before. So what I'd sort of suggest is that let's not share our experiences until after we've all done our journey, had our journey. So there's 4 of us that we're going to do it, and that way we couldn't pollute somebody else's ideas or, whatever, just interfere with their journey on it. So we each did it, and I did it, and I was holding the hands of one person on one side and Candace on the other side. And it was interesting because I found that I went through the light. Like I did all the beautiful, the buildings that were all done out of the chevron. I always get this very distinctive chevron pattern to everything that I see, but just black and white. But somehow it still forms shapes and designs and things for me. So it was like a temple almost. And that's kind of what I went through for a while. And but I came out and I wanted to show these people that I was holding their hands. I wanted to show them all this beauty that I was seeing and this feeling of love and just amazing sensations that I was getting. But every time I looked down to where they were, where I thought they were, because I was holding their hands, there was nothing there. I wasn't even there. So it was a very interesting sort of feeling. And so sensory, I had these things that were there, but visually, I was in a completely disassociated state. And I'm not sure if that grounded me a little bit during that trip, or I don't know, because it was effective either way. All I know is that when I came out, I think I said two things. I said, my nieces were there, and I said, it wasn't for the fact that they were there, I'd be naked, first off. And then the second thing I said is, we need to go get more. Because
that was too short, and that was a lot of fun.
and I felt so guilty that literally 45 minutes later, we were driving across one of the major, highways and bridges, driving to a dealer to go buy more, and I felt completely sober. Like I had no carryover. I had no like it was just I was back to normal again. Like the sensation had completely left, and that really blew me away. And we went and got more, because when Candace did it,
when I tried it, it didn't work for me. It was just too harsh. Yeah. And that really changed it up. Put it in the bong, put it on a bed of the cannabis, and I was able to get a breakthrough that way.
So then what was your experience once you were able to break through?
I woke up and I just started bawling. And I said, if these aren't tears of sadness, these are tears of joy. I just continued to cry and cry. And I just went, I'm in a love soup. I'm in a complete love soup. I don't know how else to explain it. And it was a full organic tunnel going down towards the light. It was just so much love that just overwhelmed me. That just kept me in tears after. Yes.
God, that's so beautiful. I've never experienced like DMT, like the God molecule yet, spirit molecule, whatever you call it. I've only experienced ayahuasca, which is DMT, but it's definitely a very, very different experience. What was your guys' experience when you guys did ayahuasca?
Well, that was interesting. Like right after the DMT, that motivated us to start doing more research on it. We were both in the film business for the last 30 years, and so in that industry, everybody tries everything new, and it's just.
And there was the buzzword of ayahuasca.
Everybody's on the buzz.
Everyone from LA was doing ayahuasca.
It was a trendy thing, sure. And so it was always on our back burner. It was always something that we were aware of, but just never had a calling for it. And after that DMT experience, that was the calling. That was like, you guys both need to go, check this out.
Yeah.
So that night we started doing some research. We found a place that intrigued us that presented itself. And,
it was a medical facility, which was really important to me, because you always hear about the horror stories of the purging and, and possibly, hurting yourself.
And we wanted to be comfortable. We're 60. I don't need to be
on top of a mountain in Colombia, rolling around on the ground.
I can put myself there.
Hey, man. Yeah. Hey, don't knock it till you try it.
So we found this place that we went to, and it was great because they bookended the week. There was 4 ayahuasca ceremonies. They bookended it with breath work at the beginning and at the end. And we had never experienced breath work like that before.
Especially with 90 people in the Maloka.
Yeah, 90 people in Maloka, and the energies that were in there were just phenomenal. And just the people facilitating it were just so efficient, so pro at it. It was really, really wonderful. And then we had our 4 ceremonies. So each ceremony, there was actually 3 brews, but there was 4 different shaman. And so each night was a different shaman, different brew, different presentation for it. And, so that was like Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, and Thursday night was, I think, something like that. Mm-hmm. And so each one of them were different. My Monday night was my most impactful night to me, emotionally and physically. And, what Aya showed me was all of the pain and all the trauma and that every other person in the Maloka was carrying with them, all 95 people. Obviously, I needed to learn compassion and understand where people are coming from. I was always the person that was like, "Oh, come on, pull up your socks. Yeah, we could do it. Just let that go." And very thinking that I was very just reaffirming on things, and but not understanding where the pain was coming from,
and not understanding people's mental capabilities,
Yeah.
and those that do struggle with depression, things like that we were not familiar with. You kind of go, "Oh, what's wrong with them? Let's just tell them to get going.
Let's give them some positive thoughts.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It'll be great.
Think positive.
And,
Let it go. It's so easy.
And not realizing that it's not that easy for a lot of people, and we needed, both of us did. We both needed to learn.
Well, it
to
crushed
understand.
me. It absolutely crushed me. I couldn't sit up. I couldn't do anything. I was just an emotional, just a puddle. And fortunately, we had a couple wonderful
shamans that came over
and helped me. And the one started to get to me to repeat this mantra. And when I was first doing it, I thought, "You're fucking crazy. I mean, what are these stupid words?" Like I couldn't really grasp what this thing was. And
there I am writing it down. I'm like, "We're not going to forget this one."
How am I going to make this? How am I going to make this real if I can't believe it myself? But after saying it a few times, and it was just repeating, "I love you. I respect your process. That process is not mine. I love you." And it just allowed me to release whatever they were going through that I wasn't bringing upon myself, and affecting my emotional well-being. I was able to have concern for them. I was able to, show respect for where they were coming from, but I didn't need to take it all on myself.
Take it yourself, yeah.
But it did give me a sense of what people felt like, and it was tough, and it really opened my eyes to that. That little saying, "I respect your process." We use it constantly now. We use it driving down the road. Somebody cuts us off. We go, "I love you. I respect your process. Your process is not mine."
Because you don't know what they're going through. How do you know? That maybe they just heard some bad news about something. They just had a fight with their spouse. Who knows?
Yeah.
And we have to show compassion for everyone.
Yeah.
So that was my night one. Night two was
strong start.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. Let me tell you, it wasn't like, "Yeah, let's go do this again."
You're like
and but I give all the credit to Rhythmia. That's the place that we went. It just dialed it right in, and really showed a strong program that was very helpful, especially when you're going into the medicine and what to ask for, and then what to expect or not to expect.
Did you have your intentions going into the ceremony, like
sure,
specific
but it's
intentions?
not like any of them really came.
Any of them came
one particular, and that was on my second night when people can't believe that I actually asked for this. I said, "Show me everyone who has wronged me in my life, who I have wronged, who I have wronged in my life." Holy, did that take me all the way back when I was a kid, and throwing pine cones, at the neighbor's kid. I mean, all just being the bully. It was amazing, and it was a hard night for me.
I can certainly imagine that that's not easy. Again, like that goes back to just like being like so honest with yourself. Like that's what ayahuasca like forced me to do, is like this level of honesty that like I thought I had, and like I've used, I've done mushrooms before, I've done LSD before, like, I really thought that a lot of this shit was out of me, but like ayahuasca showed me like there's a lot we hold on to without realizing, and there's a lot of times where we're simply just not honest with ourselves.
Like my most impactful night, or the one that still continues to impact me, and is actually part of the reason why we have our names on the front of our book now, is on Ladies' Night. So it's all female shaman, all female helpers. The medicine was prepared by the females, by the female shaman. So it had such an amazing different feel to the room that night. It was really cool being open to it, anyways. And but I ended up designing and building a temple, and I've been a production designer in film for my whole life, so I've been designing. That's what I do for a living. And I was quite proud of this beautiful temple that I designed. It was interesting how I was patting myself on my back during this journey, but it was there for me to marry myself. And that's where I actually came in and committed my life to myself and to understand who I was and to be true to myself. And at the end of that ceremony, I came out, and Candace and a girlfriend that we had went with were there with us. And I came out just going, I got to tell the world, about everything. I want to be free. I want to be honest. I want to be, live my true self. And I think I came out as kind of a bit of a shocking to Candace and our friend, because they're like, no, you can't do that. You can't tell everybody.
He says, I want to tell everyone there, we have this open relationship. And I'm going,
our children, it's just, I'm Madonna, all those things.
So you guys weren't open about like your swinger lifestyle up until this point?
Up until like 4 months ago.
I just told them in October.
Like you guys like really like weren't going to put your names on this book. Like you guys like.
No, we honestly weren't. No.
That's insane. So, and you guys have been doing this for what, 23 years now, like swinging?
Yeah, when we first started writing the book, so we did this workshop and we had all this information that we compiled and all these questions and ideas and concepts.
And we decided that our fun little pet names will be Maggie and Josh.
Yeah,
and
because
no need to go out, because you know what, this is our journey. We don't have to express it in that way. But then we didn't realize how much that was actually holding us back.
And we didn't want it to be a brag book. The very first thing is we were starting to go through this, and we've had some pretty fun adventures. We've done some crazy shit, but is that something that you want to wear as like, I've done some crazy shit that you've done?
Like in a braggadocious way, as opposed to just like, this just happened, man. Like this simply happened.
Yeah, as opposed to after ayahuasca, it was like, no, let's keep this on the down low, and it wasn't to protect ourselves necessarily. It was just, we just didn't want anything to do. You get so cognizant of your ego, like, why are we doing this? Asking yourself those questions, and anyways, it just kind of developed from there, and we decided to put our name on the book at the end of it after
our editor just said, basically, you should be, how do you want to say this?
So let me ask that question. Like, why?
We had somebody come out to us to tell us that they were gay, that was close to us. And her response was, they knew that you loved them enough for them to tell you that they're gay. Why do you not feel that they love you enough for you to tell them you have an open relationship? And that's when we just kind of,
damn, she's so right.
And she's right, and we need to be honest. And it was finally getting to me that I was now able to live who I was and express who I was, and just to be true to myself. So for me, it was, just a huge relief, huge relief. We were actually just talking in the hot tub the other day about trying to describe it. We said, we didn't come out of the closet. We came out of the convention center room.
Those are mass amounts of people, and
we've left so many people back in the room, that are still there, that aren't coming out.
Yeah, that aren't telling their families. We have so many swinger couples that just say, no, it'll never happen.
And they run around sneakily, and they make excuses, and they do all those things, and it's something they feel they need to do.
Well, we felt that too.
We did, we did for a long time.
We understand, and we understand where they're coming from, and everyone does it their own way, and we all have to accept.
And we're very careful. We're very careful as far as how what we say around them. We did have concern, and we actually have had people pull away from us because of our public announcement on this. And it was, we're
guilty by association.
Yeah, we were sitting in the tub one day during one of our hot tub talks, and what did we call it the other day? We came up with a name for it. It was something about totes, soaks, and something else. And it was kind of what we do when they were just talking. And now I can't remember where I was going. I'm not even high this morning.
My experience, at least just with like growing up in like Southern California and stuff, me and most of my friends, we had, pretty, I'd say just kind of closed off families. Like, we weren't open about what we felt, what we were doing, things like that. So like us as kids naturally do that. But like, together, every human is looking for like that bonding experience with someone. Like you want to be able to truly be yourself and like be accepted. And so, I say all of this to say that like the times when we would really like talk with each other was always in one of our jacuzzis. Like we, you know,
Mhm.
like a lot of us had access to it, and it would always be like, hey, like you guys want to go have real talk in the jacuzzi, and like we would just call it real talk, where we just
Mhm.
say whatever's on our mind, and we're just open and honest, and like that to me is always something that like I'm gonna remember. Is one of the things that I think like helped me become like the person who I am today, like understand what it's like to actually really make those genuine connections and make me feel that I wanted those connections too.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. Yeah. So those sessions in the tub have been very important to us. But what I was going to say is that one day we were talking and we were talking about this feeling guilty and about what we do. And I said, but if I feel guilty, there must be some shame. There must be something that we've done wrong. But we couldn't find anything that we've done wrong because nobody's been hurt. There's none of that sort of thing.
There's
So
been consent.
consent in all regards. And so at the end of it, you kind of go, well, when people start to pull away because they have this guilt, well, that kind of makes us feel like we're lesser than or that we're doing something wrong. And it took us a while just to sort of release that and to understand that, again, it's that understanding that people have different approaches to things. People have different family lives. People have different dynamics within their lives, and they can't all accept themselves as being true to who they are, which is, I think, probably one of the more frustrating things for us when we see people that are living these two lives, and you go, "You'd be so much happier if you
If you didn't,
just,
yeah.
just let it go." But then it's hard to say. People might have people pull away from them completely that are dear to them. Just excommunicate from families. You never know what the ramifications might be, but you got to balance that to being happy and being true to yourself. So,
Yeah. Why do you think like sex is such a difficult thing for people to talk about?
the church,
Yeah,
Like,
religion makes it
religion,
difficult,
I
I
think that
think.
we've really persecuted and sort of downplayed it enough that that's how we feel it is now. We feel that it is dirty or that it's not something that should be shared
It's got to
and
be behind closed
behind
doors.
closed
Maybe it's
doors.
only, to have a family. That's it. A lot of times women are basically told, they don't need to have an orgasm because it's not necessary. You hear all sorts of things, and it's great that now that we do have the internet that has opened up this communication, that everyone is understanding and being able to look for more help out there and realize that you're not alone.
well, so I'm curious. So like since you guys have, sort of come out of the closet per se, and then you've had some people that no longer really want to associate you, like on the flip side, what have been some of the positive reactions that you've seen to actually now putting your name on it?
People coming into our lives, new people coming into our lives, new people exploring what we're doing and what we're talking about. Um, the happiness that we're seeing in people,
Hmm.
the positive responses that we're getting from people of how we've helped
Hmm.
them and
And those that have any kind of sexual hangups or problems, they've been coming to us, and we've been able to guide them to work through a lot of their sexual trauma, which is fantastic to see. That to realize it's really that simple, and people make things more complicated. And like most things, if you're present, just staying present with everything that you do, not worrying about the future. No, who cares about the past?
Yeah.
Life is just easier.
we got to learn from the past, but we don't want to dwell on it. So,
Yeah, it's there. It's there. It's there to be a teacher, but it's
Mm.
interesting because like the past is also the lens in which you then like sort of experience the present as well. So like
mhm.
it's important that you deep dive and understand like what am I still carrying from the past that I can just release and then choose to
Mhm.
see the present in a different way. Like just because this happened in the past doesn't mean that this is going to be what's now going to happen, right now in this moment if it's the same situation.
Yeah, and writing the book has actually created this. Or it forced us into a perspective. It forced us to now look back at things in a little bit of a different light to it. So, even sharing stories, and fortunately, we had a lot of photographs that we could reflect back on these photographs, and when we're having our discussions of who was there, what were we doing, and where was this, and do you remember their names? No, I
Right.
never
And
knew
how did you
them.
feel during
How
that
do you feel
that
during that time? And so we've had
yes.
this reflective period, which is really interesting because you can start to see how we've changed or how
Yeah.
we have navigated certain aspects of our life, and that
And what
history is
seems so
wonderful.
important back then isn't anymore.
Yeah.
Again, because we're always evolving. Well, the whole world is. We're always evolving.
Which helps
Yeah.
us to change how we live our life in the now.
Yes.
Because we live ourselves very much in the now, and but we're carrying all of that past experience and to make our decisions and to make our choices. Because we always say we've chosen this life, we've chosen to live the way that we have. We choose everything that's around us every day. We make choices, and we choose to make choices that are pleasurable, that are fun, that are engaging, and
that's why we call ourselves the PSA, pleasure-seeking adults.
pleasure-seeking.
We're the PSA.
That is so like just beautiful. Like again, like the recognizing that the things that we do in life, that like they are a choice. Like a lot of people I think don't understand that like everything that we do is a choice that we are making. Whether you're conscious of it or not, it is all a choice. So like a lot of the choices are informed by, your past and the patterns and shit, but like you can choose to just do something fucking different. Like if you're not liking what you're doing and like you want to start exploring more pleasurable experiences, like there's nothing stopping you except yourself.
Yeah. And there's nothing forcing you to do that thing if you decide that you don't like to do it or that it wasn't right for you.
And believe me, we've tried a lot of different things and we kind of go, that's just not for me. I don't like all that heavy BDS, kind of kink stuff. But you have to go and try it all, and you kind of go, okay, a little bit of this, and a little bit of spanking, and that's all
little bits and pieces,
and you find things that you like, and and then I realized I really like fire play. I don't know if you know anything about fire play.
I don't, but I want to.
I mean, that's exciting, and like you said, you won't know until you try it.
Yeah. You were talking about earlier, obviously, and you've had some pretty crazy experiences that, don't want to come off as bragging, but I want to open the floor up. Like, what are some of the more memorable, crazy experiences that you've had?
I think the Canadian Double Ender was a good one. And we had 2 penthouse suites at the top of one of the Las Vegas hotels, and they're on either end of the hotel. And so they're separated by long, long hallways. And it was a lifestyle takeover. It was a lifestyle takeover. It was a full takeover of this hotel. And so the one room was designed very much a chill, sort of cool. The music was much more that chill sort of a world. The lighting was down, kind of more intimate. The other room was much more upbeat. It had kiddie swimming pools in the middle of the living room.
Full of oil.
And there was, I think, we estimate, 80 plus 85 people in this big orgy that was going through this entire inside of the.
As soon as you came to the front door, they said, everyone has to take their top off.
Take your top off. There's a door guard there, and then it's just a matter of going in and literally, there's the super hot couple that was standing in the middle of the room, almost waiting for us, and we approached them and started chatting for a little bit, and I think you offered him a blowjob with an Altoid in your mouth.
I asked him, have you ever had a blowjob with someone who was sucking on an Altoid? And he went, no. Like one? So that's how we opened up the conversation.
But it is very surreal to be walking around with somebody that you met like 5 minutes earlier, wandering around an apartment, or a big suite, looking for enough real estate that you could lay down or stand or do whatever and get on with it. I was, my partner and I were stuck between a bed and a wall, just with the nightstand at our heads, and you were on top of a toilet, I think.
No, we started in the shower stall because every place was just loaded full of people.
Yeah.
So we went, okay, let's go in the shower stall.
I mean, those sort of events they're fun. And there's been so many that we still walk away from and just kind of go, whoa.
Like that just happened.
What did that happen? That was different.
Well, how about that private party we went to Siegfried and Roy's old one of their original houses in Las Vegas, and it was now a party house, but they still had the cage in the middle of the sunken living room. It was still there.
It was a hard cage with windows, the whole thing was just windows all the way around.
And that's where they used to keep their tigers.
Uh-huh.
So, but they had filled it all up with white fuzzy blankets and
pillows.
and I invited this beautiful woman to crawl in there with me as we put on a show for everyone that was watching around the outside, and yeah.
And then we joined them
So-
and put on a show for everybody. Yeah, just sort of the usual evening out.
I realized I was very much a voyeur, and
Well, not the
Yeah.
voyeur.
not the voyeur.
You like to be watched.
I like to be watched.
You like to be
Yes.
watched.
When you guys first got started, like, did you guys really just kind of like jump into everything, or like was it like a very, very kind of slow start from that first time that you were in the
I think
jacuzzi?
it was
Well, when we first started dabbling our feet a little bit here, now it was slow. It was some friends and some other little things that were going on here, but it wasn't anything too major at all. And then that first trip that we took, like the first major, what turned out to be a lifestyle trip, because we didn't know that it was a lifestyle organization.
we were just going to
takeover.
Hito in Jamaica just to hang around a beach and be naked.
We wanted to find someplace that had, that you could be naked at.
But then we realized it was a full takeover.
Yeah. So
Got it.
it
So
was
you're like, well, it's time to nut up or shut up.
well, and it was kind of a holy, what's going on here? And that took us through to that kind of scared us off, actually. It scared us out of the area.
One day
that it was all happening. Well, that hour. That first hour, it was a slow entry.
That's right. Okay, we got to think about this for a minute.
Like dip a toe in, take it back out.
Yeah, that's it.
So we managed to kind of escape that area and went to a quieter pool, and there was a couple other people that were there, not many.
We should tell them what was going on in that pool that scared us.
Yeah, well, we walked around. So this is a quad area. So there's like 4 buildings that are all surrounding a large pool area in the center. In the middle of it is a big swim-up bar. And we entered between the buildings, and it reveals this this huge pool of naked people, and the music is just just pounding away, and but on top of the bar were these girls that were on all fours with their arches back, and they were pouring booze down their backs, and guys were licking it out of their asses, and there was people getting blowjobs at the bar, and there was people fucking over here, and it was like. We're not in Kansas anymore.
And like you guys were just expecting to just like be chilling naked at a hotel.
Yeah, exactly. That was it.
And this was like at 2 in the afternoon, 3 in the afternoon. And so we left that area, went to a smaller pool, and a big pool, but there were very few people in it. And just saddled up beside a couple of people that were there. They invited us over, and just having a nice conversation with them and getting to know them.
Mm-hmm.
And those people ended up turning out to be our mentors, or especially Kandace's mentor.
Yes. There's someone that had been in the lifestyle for
years.
10 years longer than us, and had already experienced a lot of lifestyle travel.
And we found out later they were extremely well known. Like they were the king and queen of the swing community. Like everybody.
Oh wow.
This couple, quite well known and quite established. And so we're having this nice conversation with them. And at some point I need to, and I still we don't recall if I had to get up and go to the bathroom or just go get drinks. But either way, I left them. And as I was coming back from the bar, I had a couple drinks in my hand, and these 2 girls approached me, and it was in the shallow end of the pool. It's not deep swimming pools. And the one girl asked me, she goes, excuse me, do you have the time? And I'm like, sure. I sort of give her the time, and they looked at each other and went, I guess we owe him some appreciation. So all of a sudden they got on their knees and they started to give me a 2-headed blowjob. And so I'm standing there in the pool
with drinks in his hand,
with drinks in my hand, with 2 girls going down on me and looking at her, and I was like, what am I supposed to do?
What do I do?
So they entertained me for a little bit, and got up and gave him a quick kiss and thank you very much, but that was all that was said. So it was really so nonchalant and just kind of matter of fact that that's just what happens around here, and there's no hang-ups on it.
We should talk about that other one. Oh, because people love this story. So this pool in particular, the women would all sit around the edge of the pool with their feet dangling in the water, and men would casually come up and pop their heads between your legs and go, excuse me, my name is such and such, can I kiss your pussy? And you kind of go, and I'm looking over at Greg, and Greg's going, sure, why not? So you spread your legs, and then there's a guy right between your legs, and
while you're having a conversation
with all the other women, and you're having your drinks in your hand, and there's a man.
And it just becomes so.
It becomes so
no, normal is a bad word to say.
I know,
but it's
not
just,
normal, but somehow so comfortable that, and then they'd move on and they go, thank you very much, and then they would shift and they'd go to the next woman, and you'd get a new guy and you'd introduce yourself and hi, nice to meet you.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was pretty intense. So that's how we got introduced to.
And there becomes a cadence at these places too, which we always laughed about. And it wasn't anything that was, in the brochure or written up or, in a, wherever. It was just something that just organically happened every day. And it was like the schedule of the day was you would get up and, most people got up early and you'd go to the gym, you'd work out in the gym, and then you'd go back and you'd have a shower and you'd put on some nice clothes to go down for breakfast. Then you have breakfast.
Oh, no, we're talking slutty clothes.
Oh, yeah,
for
slutty
breakfast.
clothes for breakfast.
We're talking in your 5-inch heels.
Oh, yeah.
You're wearing
just
your
a little
lingerie
cover, one couple
got it.
Come down and all the people gear, they come down to the holsters and they just end up ball gags because it's hard to eat. And so that would kind of take place. And eventually by 11:30, you start to make your way down to the pool so you can choose your area that you want to hang out in the pool. And then it's just lays around and meet people and have some lunch. And all of a sudden you'll see by 3:30, 4 o'clock, all of a sudden the place is just emptying out, just quietly. Just all of a sudden there's nobody there anymore. And then you realize that they've all escaped to one of the rooftop hot tubs. And they've got these huge hot tubs with swim bars in them and showers and beds that are throughout the whole rooftop that you can join onto. So at 4:30 you end up going to the hot tub, and that's when you do your shopping for the next part of the day. And
looking for a couple or singles or looking someone to hook up.
So once that happens, you usually go back to so then you go back quickly, shower and clean up and get yourself ready, and then go meet somebody in their room at 6 o'clock. So you do that from 6 to 7, and then go back to your room, you have a quick shower again, you have a little nap, then you put some nice clothes on, then you meet everybody at the bar, and then you go from the bar, you go to the restaurant, and then from the restaurant you go to the
nightclub
bar outside and hang out at the bar outside for a while, and then go to the nightclub, and then probably go into the back room behind the nightclub because they have big playrooms
behind the nightclub.
And they know what's going on.
Yeah. Or just find somebody.
And that's where you find lots of orgies, happening in these playrooms.
And that happens till about 1, and then everybody meets back down at the bar again for pizza and snacks and little fuel, and then either go to bed or go back with somebody else, and then get up at 7 o'clock to go to the gym again.
I've got an oddly specific question. Do you guys ever have any like awkward encounters with like the cleaning staff at these places?
Well, it's interesting.
I don't think we've had any encounters.
No, other than you're always asking, you're phoning down for more towels constantly.
Yeah.
Towels. We need more towels. Yeah. How many? At least 8.
Yeah.
How big is this party going to be? So you got to make sure you got enough towels.
Yeah.
Of course.
Other than that, no. I mean, and the respect is amazing, especially on like these boat cruises that we've been going on too. Because, the one line, we've been on one boat that was about 3,500 people, I think. So, that's a big party.
That's a takeover.
That's a takeover. Not as good as what it might sound for us, anyways. For some it might be good, but just too many people. And there's too many distractions, and it's really hard to carry on conversations with.
And it's called FOMO. Fear of missing out. You're looking one way, and then you want to talk to these people, and then those people already left, and
so it's better to have not so much choice.
Paradox of choice.
Yeah,
the menu's way too big.
Yeah.
But we've been going on some smaller boats mostly, and more like 450 staterooms, 400 staterooms around that area. And it's always blown me away by the respect and how little we see the staff and actually what goes on, and how you just don't see reactions from them. They're pretty particular. There's nudity is only allowed around the swimming pool and
in the playrooms.
Your playrooms, and obviously your rooms. But
so you're not like at the dinner table just completely naked.
Yeah, but
dinner table is see-through dresses, no panties. I mean, it's pretty risky.
So there's still stuff going on.
There's still stuff
pretty much wherever you're at on the boat.
Yeah,
pretty much in one capacity or another. Yeah.
So transitioning real quick, what made you guys, I guess, want to become mentors yourself?
Just seeing how rewarding and how valuable they are, and it's some of the questions that we get posed, and some of the situations people find themselves in are so easily remedied if they just had a new way or
An
an
understanding
understanding or
of,
informed way of approaching things, and how everything works. Um, One of the first things that we were taught, and Candace most specifically was taught, is that women make the decisions. They're the ones that choose who's going to play with who and when they're going to play with it. And it should be. I mean, it should be. It's their bodies they're giving up. It's not. It's not for me to make a choice on that. So they do need to have that
and
sovereignty.
it's a rule that's always been around. I respect it, and the men respect it, and
it just adds a comfort level, just to know that that you've got that control on whether you want to do that or not. Part of the thread of our book is female empowerment. It's a big part of it. And we were talking earlier about our reflecting back on things, and having that knowledge now to look back on what things used to be, and we can start to see behaviors, how we behaved, and why we approach different things because of traumas and things that were happened in our previous lives, I guess, at this point. And how they made, how they've adjusted our
and for
choices
instance,
and
I
things.
mean, I can go into it if you want. Do you want a little bit of it or not?
Yeah.
I can.
Yeah.
The trauma happened when I was 16, and a boss forced me to give him a blowjob. So for me, it was like I was giving up my power, but that was something that I said I would never do. After that, I said, no man can ever control me quite like that. And then, so I found that whoever I was with, all these men, I had to make sure that I was the one on top. I was the one that came first. I was the one that made the rules. And that was how I dealt with it. All my encounters were men were like that. I had to be the one in control. And,
Yeah.
But not with me.
But not with him.
I would try to get her to dom.
That's right. I could never be the dom with him.
I was the safe place. I was
That's
the
true love.
I was that nice warm blanket. Yeah.
But I didn't realize all of this until we wrote the book, because I didn't even realize that trauma. I had totally blocked that one out. That was put in a little box, and
even I didn't
deep
let that
inside, and I had never even told Greg that. So
Wow.
yeah. And like I said, it's amazing when you start writing your feelings. It's like people that journal. I understand, the more that people write things down, the more that they can express their inner feelings that can come up, and you can deal with them.
Well, that is just factual right there. I've got nothing more to add to that. And this has been an awesome conversation. Probably one of my favorite conversations I think I've had on this podcast so far. You guys are fucking incredible. So like, thank you for being open about what you guys do. Like to help other people understand that, again, like the things that we do and the things we're used to and like told aren't normal. Like we can do different things. There are other people doing different things out there, and like it's okay to explore and try.
Successfully.
Yeah.
And where things are taking us now, things have taken such a turn for us, and even in the last year or so, just with our approach to playing with friends, playing with others, playing with ourselves, it's changed quite dramatically, and it's all been through. I need to put a lot of emphasis on plant medicines, and how they kind of got us here, just opening up our minds and allowing us to look at different solutions and different ways of addressing not necessarily problems, but just things in life. And the whole energy sharing thing, the whole intimacy part of it has become much stronger between us. And we're carrying that over to some of our friends as well, and trying to teach them just for their intimacy with their partners and also with themselves, just to allow that part of it to happen. Mushrooms, when we take people on journeys, or even ourselves, we always look at not just the data going into it is so important, to where we're setting ourselves up to, the setting that we're in, what's the environment at, but it's also that integration afterwards. And we're finding an interesting kind of something that's sort of been developing on us, or we're starting to see it really develop on us, is that with each one of our mushroom journeys, and we're typically, especially when we have somebody with us, we're usually about, anywhere between 1.5 to 2 grams is typically what we take. So not deep journeys, but enough that we can really sort of
That's a
open up
journey.
but it's usually three of us, and it's usually the third, or whoever we're bringing into the situation is positioned in between us, and we allow ourselves to go through our journeys, but it always becomes intimate, or it has always in the past become intimate between the three of us. And we kind of we say that our brains are like snow globes on mushrooms, and you just shake it and all the snow goes everywhere, and you want to have it settle down in the right spots. And by us kind of coming out of the medicine and still really open to all of those, those receptors and those neurons are refiring and they're rejoining.
It all has to do with how are we going to integrate, and what are you putting back into your psyche at that moment?
So we're putting all this sensuality and touch and energy concentration. That's what we're doing as we're coming out of the medicine. So now it seems that it's just getting so much easier. It's like as soon as you take the medicine, you kind of go there because it's this real pleasure spot. The oxytocin is just, that that's the brew that you need right there. And so it's been an interesting sort of watching how our play styles developed and how it's worked energetically between us, and where it's taken our sexuality and
it's bringing it to a whole different level, with the mindgasms and the energy orgasms that can go on and on. I mean, we'll be in this room with somebody, and before you know it, you go, "Oh my God, it's been 4 hours." Well, that's pretty incredible to have that much energy and sexual excitement.
It's all part of our neo Carezza that we're working on. So Carezza is it's a sexual practice or a method that was developed in the 1800s originally. I think documented at the end of the 1800s. There was a book written about it in the late 20s, and it's, for lack of a better term, it's slow sex. Back then, it was for a lot of because not getting pregnant, there was no penetration, and the whole idea was for non-orgasmic sex. We're kind of taking that through to it is orgasmic, but it's more of a mind orgasm aspect to it. And the intimacy that we're able to develop over that is just so much stronger that we can have 12, 13, 14 orgasms in a night.
And like you said, and it lasts, your 4 hours.
Yeah, and it just sort of keeps on carrying us.
And the more energy it builds in you, that it actually takes us a while to go to sleep that night.
Yeah. I was literally about to ask you guys. You guys must get the best sleep ever that night. How do you guys still fucking up after that?
Usually takes another bong hit. Okay, now let's just slow this all down. Bring in that indica.
Yeah. And, oh my gosh. Well, man, thank you again so much for sharing everything and coming on the podcast. I mean, I'm so happy we connected. So thank you guys.
Oh, we really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it.
Yes, thanks, Cam.
Yeah, we have much more to talk about. So if you ever feel bored, just give us a shout sometime.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And thank you again to Gregory and Kandace. I really hope that we can connect again in the future and have another discussion. For everybody that is interested in their book, Fucking Our Way to Enlightenment, I have linked to their website in the footnotes of this podcast. And then on there, that'll take you to a link where you guys can order the book. Now, also, if you're still here, would love it if you would rate, subscribe to this podcast just to help me grow my following, and maybe share it with a friend if you found this interesting. And feel free to shoot me a follow as well if you don't already at tripsitting.blog on Instagram and TikTok. And then also subscribe to my Trippy Monday newsletter where I go over 3 things that caught my attention from the past week. Go to my website, tripsitting.blog, and just go ahead and sign up there. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next week.